that I have heard from my father, Imam Musa ibn Jaffer, who has heard from his father, Jaffer ibn Muhammad, who heard from his father, Muhammad ibn Ali, who heard from his father, Ali ibn Hussein, who heard from his father, Hussein ibn Ali, who heard from his father, Ali ibn Abi Talib, who heard from his brother Rasulullah, who heard from Jibreel, who heard from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hadith Qudsi, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imam Ridha says, Al-kalimatu la ilaha illallah hasni, faman dakhala hasni, amana min adabi wa sakhati. He says, I've heard from all of the A'immah of Ahl al-Bayt, from Jibreel, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that the words La ilaha illallah, saying La ilaha illallah, there is no God but Allah, is the fortress of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And anyone who enters into this fortress, he is saved from all punishment and torment. So all of these scholars, they said, we already know that. That's fine. We understand La ilaha illallah. We understand this is the great divine word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is said that Imam Ridha, he lets the commotion die down and he says, وَلَكِنْ شُرُوتِهَا. But there is a condition for this. So they wonder what this is, and Imam Ridha goes back into his tent. And please understand in the historical context of the situation. Imam Ridha alayhi salam, he goes back into his tent, and all of these people are wondering, where did he go? We need to know what is the condition. What is he talking about? And Imam Ridha, moments later, he walks back out, and the gathering dies down. They all keep quiet, and Imam Ridha alayhi afdal salatu wa salam, he says, Ana min shurutiha. He says, and I am the condition for La ilaha illallah. Please understand this point. Because if we do not understand the wilaya, the legacy, the greatness, the ownership that Imam Ali ibn Musa Ridha alayhi salam has over our own souls, we are doing a disservice to Ahlul Bayt, and we do not even understand the most foundational principle of At-Tawheed. La ilaha illallah. The condition for La ilaha illallah, the condition for knowing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is what? It is Ahlul Bayt, it is Imam Ali ibn Musa Ridha alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Which is why it's very vital that today we understand the walaya. Walaya means ownership, brothers and sisters. It means ownership. Thus when we say the walaya of Ali or the walaya of Ahlul Bayt, means that they own us. That they own us. And somebody who does not understand this concept cannot be considered in our school of Ahlul Bayt. Which is why today, before that, there was a man named Sufyan ibn Thawri. Sufyan ibn Thawri, and I've narrated this story before. Sufyan ibn Thawri is known as one of the greatest Sufis in the history of Islamic history. He is one of the greatest scholars, and he is known as one of the great ascetics, one of the greatest people, the 8 great people who practice piety in the world. And today, if you go to many of these different books in Sufism and in the science of Irfan, we will find that this man, Sufyan ibn Thawri, holds a very prominent position. And maybe, just maybe, perhaps, many of the people who may come and give lectures in our masjid, they support the views of this man, Sufyan ibn Thawri. Sufyan bin Thawri. It is said that one time he came to Imam As-Sadiq alayhi salam. And Imam As-Sadiq was dressed in a nice attire of clothing. So he came to Imam As-Sadiq and he says, what is this nice clothes you're dressed in? You know, you're the Imam. You're supposed to dress in a thing that's pious. You're supposed to dress in wool, so on and so forth. And Imam As-Sadiq completely dismisses him. Now we come to the life of Imam Ali ibn Musa Ridha. This Sufyan ibn Thawri is also a contemporary of Imam Ali ibn Musa Ridha alayhi salam. It is said that the same exact incident in the books of history are narrated with Sufyan ibn Thawri. He comes forth toward Imam Ali ibn Musa Ridha alayhi salam, and he says, what is this silk or this nice attire, clothing that you're wearing, when you are supposed to be the Imam of Ahlul Bayt? You're supposed to be the head of all spirituality. And what is this that you're wearing? And he says, look under. And it says that Imam Ridha alayhi salam, he unbuttons his shirt, and under he's wearing wool in the heat of the Khurasan, in the heat of Iran. And he says, I show this outer garment to the people so they understand that it's okay to dress a little bit nice once in a while. And then Imam Ridha, he tells Sufyan ibn Thawri, he says, why don't you unbutton your shirt? And it says that he unbuttoned his shirt, and what was under there? It was that same exact attire that Imam Ridha alayhi salam was wearing on the outside. Please understand this, brothers and sisters, that there is no way to reaching Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is no way to reaching any sort of superpower mysticism. There is no way of understanding the science of the soul if you neglect the shurt, the condition of La ilaha illallah. And that is Imam Ali ibn Musa Ridha alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Imam Ali ibn Musa Ridha alayhi salam, like we said, at age 35, he moved from Medina toward Khurasan. He was invited by Al-Ma'mun, who said that he has to be the heir to the throne of the Abbaside dynasty. He said, if you do not do this, we will behead you. Imam Ridha alayhi salam reluctantly had to agree, and while he agreed to this, and he was in the courtyard, he was literally sitting on a throne most of his time, when he was in the court of Al-Ma'mun, what his role was to teach people the difference between him and this Abbasid Khulafa. What his major goal was to make people understand what is the difference between an Imam and what is the difference between this Caliph. Well, we could go through the books of history, and we notice that these individuals, Imam Ridha alayhi salam and Al-Ma'mun, had one thing in common. One thing in common. That one thing in common was that their father were both of noble lineages, depends on how you look at it, and both of their mothers were slave girls. Both of their mothers were slaves. The father of Imam Ridha alayhi salam is Imam Musa ibn Jaffer al-Kadhim alayhi salam. Of course, we know his lineage. His lineage comes from Rasulullah and Ali and Fatima al-Zahra. Well, when we go toward the lineage of the father of Ma'mun, we know it's Harun al-Rashid. Harun al-Rashid, the individual who killed Imam Musa ibn Jaffer alayhi salam, but in his own right, amongst the people of Baghdad and the people of Khurasan, they respected the family that he came from, being from the line of the Abbasids. Now from their mothers, we see that the mother of Imam Ali ibn Musa Ridha alayhi salam comes from the land of current day contemporary Morocco. She was a slave that Imam Ridha alayhi salam, Imam Musa ibn Jaffer alayhi salam, he bought from an individual, and that individual who sold it to Imam Musa al-Kadhim said I went to a fortune teller, and the fortune teller told me that this woman, whose name was Taktum, the mother of Imam Ali ibn Musa Ridha, is going to give birth to the most noble of man of his time. And thus I will not sell it to you, I will not sell her to you unless you pay the most outrageous wage. Thus Imam Musa ibn Jaffer paid this wage and married this woman, and eventually gave birth to Imam Ali ibn Musa Ridha. So what did we say that Imam Ridha and Al-Ma'mun have in common? That both of their parents come from these prominent, well, both of their fathers come from a prominent family, and both of their mothers were slaves. So the mother of Imam Ridha alayhi salam was a slave girl from Morocco, and eventually who had a noble lineage, and who was married to Musa al-Kadhim, and obviously gave birth to Imam Ridha. Now we keep this aside, and we come to see the progeny that this woman, the mother of Al-Ma'mun, came from. It is said that Harun al-Rashid, the killer of Imam Musa ibn Ja'far, and the father of Al-Ma'mun, the killer of Imam Ridha, used to play chess with his wife Zubaydah. He used to play chess with his wife Zubaydah every day. And they decided one day that what they're going to do is they're going to have a little bit of a competition. Harun told his wife Zubaydah, he said that if whoever wins, we get to tell the other person what to do. And you have to agree. They had a bet. So Harun won the first game of chess, and he told his wife that you have to go run around the courtyard without wearing any garments. This was his wife. So she said, no, this is crazy, this is outrageous. And by the way, brothers and sisters, Harun al-Rashid is one of the most popular figures in Islamic history, in the universities, and amongst these so-called intellectuals. Why? Well, if we narrate to them this reliable story, I don't know where it comes from. He said Harun al-Rashid told the wife to do this, the wife did it, and as soon as she came back, she said, Harun, I need a rematch. We need to play one more game of chess, and the same conditions. Whoever wins, they get